The Wilsons are on the road, headed for America's heartland. We're meeting with the Nature Conservancy to tour the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve in a couple of days, so we needed to cover some ground. We passed through St. Louis, past the famous Gateway Arch, and across Missouri in the first couple of days out. During these driving days, we make a deal with the kids. If they keep themselves busy and behave, they're allowed a few treats during the day. Now, one of those is an afternoon ice cream stop. Any driving day over 6 hours means ice cream is on the menu.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate it. You too. All right, girls.
I have to have mine right now.
Hang on. Whoa, slow down.
I got it. And do not drink any of mine. Never.
I'll take that one too.
There's a spoon for you. And a spoon for you. That's part of the reward of having to travel so far on a long day. And the napkins. Napkin. Oh. And we're off.
It's that easy. As we made our way into the Kansas City area, we were contacted by KSHB-TV to do a series of interviews to tell our Green Family Summer story. First, we were taped for their evening newscast just outside of town, and then we were scheduled to do a series of live bits for their early morning show from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. A little early for our tastes, but we were eager to tell our story. After the early morning, we drove straight to the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve to meet with Ruth Palmer and Brian Obermeyer of the Nature Conservancy in Kansas. This is the first of 3 Nature Conservancy preserves we hope to visit this year, and we're excited to explore this area that most people just drive through. Settlers often referred to the prairie as a sea of grass, and just like the sea, that immense space often conceals a very detailed and diverse community just below the surface. Ruth Palmer works in fundraising and communications with the Nature Conservancy, and she had some good advice for people who come to the prairie to visit.
I think what people really need to do is stop, like you folks have done today, and actually take a walk in the prairie itself. Once you can get a close look at the prairie, you realize how complex it is and how many grasses and plants there are, and really appreciate it.
We took Ruth's advice to heart, taking several walks and the park's signature blue bus tour to soak up as much of the prairie as we could. We even came across a mother nighthawk, clearly upset with us. Once we figured out what was up, we gave her plenty of space, but we were glad to have had a close encounter of the prairie kind. We were beginning to understand why it was so important to Ruth and the Nature Conservancy that the Tallgrass Prairie be preserved.
There used to be millions and millions of acres of tallgrass prairie from Canada down through Texas to Mexico, and now less than 1% is left. So once you realize how little is left, you really begin to appreciate it.
Brian Obermeyer is a biologist who works with the Flint Hills Initiative of the Nature Conservancy. After we fed him dinner, and it was nothing less than Indian cuisine from foil packages at our camp, he agreed to give us a tour of prairie plants. He also told us about one of his earliest experiences out in the prairie.
A lot of the roads out in the Flint Hills have chert gravel on the roads, and it's pretty easy to slit a tire and ruin a tire. And I remember my first experience in the big open range where there were no fences. You just, county roads going through prairie where there were no fences. It was just incredible. But my first experience was ruining an almost brand new tire that I couldn't afford to buy another one, and so it wasn't maybe the best experience, but I've really come to cherish those areas and even accept the fact that, hey, occasionally I may ruin a tire out here, but it's worth that price, certainly, yeah.
But the prairie not only left its mark on Brian's tire, it left its mark on Brian.
Kansas always drew me back, especially the Flint Hills. I've been to some really spectacular, magnificent areas, such as the Rocky Mountains. But the prairie, it's a more subtle thing, it's just very diverse. I am a biologist. I'm really into insects and, the sounds of the night, those sort of things. And the prairie is just incredibly rich with sounds. It's a very diverse place. And the more you experience the prairie, the more you pick up on those subtleties.
And that deep appreciation for this landscape is what made Brian decide to get involved in protecting it.
I've been a member of the Nature Conservancy since about 1989. I really like the work that the Nature Conservancy did, the way they work in a non-confrontational way. It's on-the-ground type conservation, but I got interested in prairie habitats mainly on my farm in southeast Kansas. Got involved with some ranchers and landowners and some of that work.
Many of the Nature Conservancy's projects involve conservation easements where local ranchers agree to manage the prairie sustainably. But the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve is different. The Nature Conservancy actually owns the land, but it's managed by the National Park Service, making it the only privately owned national park unit in the country.
It is a national park that's being managed in collaboration with the Nature Conservancy. It is a unique private public partnership.
Still, surrounding the preserve, the constant pressure from development means that the prairie is in danger of being loved to death by admirers.
I heard ranchers say, "We welcome you to come and visit the Flint Hills. We want you to come, just don't stay." And I know that sounds a little harsh, but this is a sensitive landscape. I mean, it's a landscape of open spaces, and it can very quickly fill up and lose its essence.
Okay, my suggestion, start some kind of rumor to scare people away.
So have you ever had any alien abductions or anything out here, Brian?
I've only had a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, that's going to keep people out. Well, good thing they've got people as smart and dedicated as Brian and Ruth, who appreciate the landscape itself and the effect it can have on the people who pass through it.
A few years ago, one of the park rangers had a group of visitors that he was showing doing a prairie bus tour. On this bus tour was a girl from China. She was studying here in the United States, and she brought her parents from China. And as the park ranger and these people from China were at the top of the lookout, looking at nothing but tallgrass prairie surrounding them, the park ranger noticed the Chinese man and woman, the older Chinese man and woman at the back, away from the rest of the group. And the park ranger went up to the man, and he saw that this man from China had tears in his eyes. And the park ranger wanted to make sure everything was okay and said, you know, do you have any questions? Are you okay? And the man from China looked at the park ranger and he said, in China, I live surrounded by people. There are billions and billions of people there. You don't see wide open places like this. He said, this to me must be what afterlife is like.
We left the Tallgrass Prairie with a much better appreciation of its diversity and beauty. We were glad to know that there are people like Ruth Palmer and Brian Obermeyer who are working every day to protect and nurture what's left of this national treasure. For more information on the Nature Conservancy and to follow our Wilson family's Green Family Summer, go to www.greenfamilysummer.com. And come back soon. There's lots more Green Family Summer adventure in store.